You probably think birth control is a modern medical invention. You assume your ancient ancestors just multiplied endlessly. You imagine them completely helpless against human biology. But you are completely and fundamentally wrong about them. They possess biological secrets we have completely lost, and the lengths they went to would absolutely terrify you. Imagine being a woman during the brutal peak of the Ice Age. Every single winter was a desperate fight against the cold. Food was scarce, and the tribal camps were completely frozen. Getting pregnant at the wrong time was an absolute death sentence. A crying infant in a dark forest instantly attracted predators. A pregnant hunter could not run from a charging cave bear. They could not afford to leave human reproduction to chance. So, they became the very first rogue biologists in history. Ancient women passed down a highly guarded and secret oral tradition. They discovered exactly which toxic plants could stop a pregnancy, but what they actually used will make your stomach turn. In ancient Egypt, they used something completely horrifying. Ancient women mixed fermented crocodile dung with sour honey. They formed this vile mixture into a thick biological plug. It sounds like absolute madness to our modern medical minds. You would think this would cause a massive and fatal infection. But modern medical science has actually tested this exact recipe. Crocodile dung has a highly acidic and hostile pH level. It actually worked as a surprisingly effective spermicide. It created an invisible chemical wall inside the human body. They weaponized animal waste to control their own fertility, but that was just the beginning of their biological warfare. There was one specific plant that changed the entire ancient world. It grew only on a tiny strip of land in northern Africa. The ancient Greeks and Romans called this miracle plant Silphium. It was the most effective oral contraceptive in human history. Women drank the bitter sap to guarantee they remained childless. It was so powerful and reliable that empires went absolutely crazy. The Roman economy practically ran on the black market trade of it. It was tightly guarded and worth much more than its weight in gold. Julius Caesar even kept a massive stockpile in the Roman treasury. The ancient city of Cyrene stamped its image on their silver coins. The heavy seeds of the Silphium plant were shaped exactly like a heart. This is why we associate the heart shape with romance today. It started as the universal symbol for ancient birth control. But our desperate ancestors pushed this miracle to the absolute brink. They harvested the wild Silphium plant into total extinction. They literally consumed an entire living species off the planet, not for food, but for the power to control their own biology. Roman Emperor Nero supposedly ate the very last stalk in existence. When the miracle plant vanished forever, the ancient world panicked. They were forced to turn to far darker and deadlier methods. Ancient Chinese women drank pure liquid mercury to stop pregnancies. They knowingly poisoned their organs to keep their families small. Greek physicians recommended drinking foul water from blacksmiths. The water was heavily contaminated with toxic lead and copper. These heavy metals caused permanent sterility and the slow, painful death. Their teeth fell out and their bones ached from the severe poisoning. They willingly chose toxic poison over the heavy burden of childbirth. That is how incredibly desperate they were to rewrite their biology. For thousands of years, this was a heavily guarded and silent secret. This dark knowledge passed in quiet whispers from mother to daughter. It was shared around dark campfires while the men were out hunting. A hidden underground network of women controlling the fate of empires. Archaeologists eventually found ancient texts dedicated entirely to this. Medical papyri detailing exact recipes for toxic abortive tree bark. A macabre archive of human desperation and forgotten medical genius. We look back and think they were completely primitive and uneducated. We assume they lived at the absolute mercy of brutal Mother Nature. But they understood their environment much better than we ever will. They turned the terrifying natural world into a giant biological pharmacy. And they were willing to risk absolutely everything for total control. Every time you draw a heart, you are remembering a dark historical origin. You were drawing the ghost of a dead plant that changed human history. Have you ever heard of any weird or terrifying ancient medical remedies? Tell me your wildest historical stories in the comments down below. If you want to know how they survived brutal injuries in the wild, the next video is already waiting for you on the channel.